You know, there are some names that are so big, they pretty much define an era. And when you think about the modern world, one of those names is without a doubt Bill Gates. Today, we're going to dig into the story of the man who was the architect behind so much of it. And look, that is not an exaggeration. We're talking about a vision that didn't just create a company, it fundamentally rewired how billions of us work, how we talk to each other, how we live our lives. The world we're all living in today, in a very real way, he helped write the code for it. But here's the really wild part. How does one person manage to reshape the entire world twice? First, by building this unbelievable software empire that put a computer on every desk. And second, by taking the wealth from that empire and aiming it at some of the biggest problems humanity has ever faced. That's the story we're telling today. So to really understand the man, you've got to go back, way back to the beginning, to a young kid fascinated by logic, by puzzles, and by the blinking green cursors of those ancient computers. He was born back in 1955, and as a teenager, Bill Gates wasn't really chasing what other kids were. He found computers, and he got completely obsessed. I mean, he spent every waking hour he could just programming. And that obsession led him to drop out of Harvard, and in 1975, team up with his friend Paul Allen to start a little company they called Microsoft. Now, you have to get your head around just how radical their idea was. In the 70s, computers were these giant room-sized machines. They were incredibly expensive and only used by, big corporations or scientists. But Gates and Allen, they saw something totally different. A future where computers were personal, accessible, a tool for everyone. Their whole mission statement was so simple, but it was unbelievably ambitious for the time. Bring computers to every home and every desk. That wasn't just a business plan, it was more like a prophecy, and they were going to make it happen. Okay, so you have this crazy vision, but a vision needs a vehicle, right? It needs a product that could connect these super complex machines with regular people. And this is where the revolution really kicks into high gear. Their first huge success was something called MS-DOS. It became the standard operating system for computers. But the real game changer, the thing that would define an entire generation of technology, that was Windows. See, before Windows, using a computer meant you had to type in all these cryptic commands. It wasn't user-friendly at all. Windows changed everything. It gave us a visual interface. Icons you could click, menus, a mouse. All of a sudden, computers weren't intimidating anymore. They were intuitive. And the momentum from there was just insane. MS-DOS set the stage in the early 80s. Then Windows launches in the mid-80s and just takes off. By the 1990s, the trio of Windows, Microsoft Office, and Internet Explorer was completely dominating the market. It was an unstoppable force. With this software empire, Bill Gates had pretty much built the foundation for the modern world. He'd created the operating system for how we would work, create, and connect for decades to come. But that kind of incredible success, it comes with incredible pressure. Building an empire is one thing, but defending it from every direction, that's a whole different battle. And yeah, all this success made him one of the wealthiest people in human history. But for Gates, the money seems to have been more of a byproduct, not the goal. It was the result of his absolute relentless drive to innovate and to win. Because when you're on top, you become the target. Microsoft's dominance was just unheard of, which brought on fierce competition. But it also brought on massive antitrust lawsuits from the government and a ton of public criticism over their aggressive business tactics. The empire was constantly under attack. And this is where the story takes this totally unexpected, dramatic turn. After basically conquering the entire tech world, Gates turned his attention to a completely different set of problems, some of the oldest, hardest challenges humanity has. So get this, the year is 2000. He's at the absolute peak of his power, and he makes this shocking decision. He steps down as CEO of Microsoft. But this wasn't him retiring, no. This was him rebooting, channeling all of that intense focus into a new and maybe even bolder mission. And the pivot was just profound. I mean, look at this. His first mission was all about building software to empower people. His second mission, using the unbelievable wealth created from that software to save lives. So he and Melinda French Gates created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and its mission is just staggering in its ambition. Go after the root causes of poverty, killer diseases, and inequality all over the world. And he came at this with the exact same data-driven intensity he brought to Microsoft. The foundation has invested billions, and they focus it where it counts. I mean, look, a massive 40% goes toward vaccines, with huge chunks also going to global health, education, and fighting poverty. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, you're not just looking at one career. You're looking at two completely distinct but equally massive legacies. So how do you square the hard-charging tech CEO with the world-changing humanitarian? The whole arc of his life is just incredible. He starts out as a teenage programmer, a Harvard dropout, and becomes the CEO of the most powerful software company on the planet. And then he completely transforms into a global humanitarian, a key voice in public health, and a major thinker on the world's biggest challenges. But there's a single thread that connects both halves of his life. It's this powerful idea that one single concept, when you combine it with just relentless, nonstop effort, can genuinely change the world. That's true for software, and it's true for vaccines. And that really leaves us with this huge question. When the history books are written, what will be his defining legacy? Will it be the digital world that he architected, or the human world that he spent his second act trying to save? And maybe, just maybe, the real answer is that you can't really separate the two. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think? What is Bill Gates' greatest legacy? Let us know what you're thinking down in the comments. And for more deep dives into the people and ideas shaping our world, make sure you like, share, and subscribe.